It is good to be back on a Monday night, the 7th of April, 2025. I enjoy these evening live streams that we're doing just for video once a week. I have been releasing the audio of these occasionally on the audio podcast just because sometimes we have such good conversations. The Hands Off 2025 event was this last Saturday. For those who don't know what that is, Hands Off 2025 is kind of a hub where people would go and find where a local protest would be. And these are protests against, the oligarchs, Trump and Elon and the billionaires and the Republicans who refuse to, stand up with a backbone and fight all that's going on, whether it's Project 2025, whether it's Christian nationalism, whether it's Doge, whether it's just the awfulness and cruelty that have been going on. And I was curious to see how this would go over. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is Jesus town. You can throw a rock and you're going to hit 3 churches, right? And so, I don't go to a lot of protests, but I had a sign made, kind of a nice one. I'll show it to you here in a second. You'll see it when I'm going through some of my visuals. But I took some care, and I thought, well, I'm gonna do a quote with Thomas Jefferson. And this was strategic because I thought, if they're going to throw trash at me out of the window of their car, if some MAGA comes by and they want to throw something at me, they have to go through one of the founding fathers first, right? They're going to probably hesitate. They may hesitate a little bit if Thomas Jefferson is between us, I would think. And it also gives me a little more ammo when we saw a lot of fuck Trump and that kind of stuff. But I really was more interested in messaging, which I think I said in the promo video that I just released a couple of days ago, showing what happened here locally. And there were some cities that had 30,000, 40,000 people. It was crazy. New York City, Manhattan's protest was huge. Chicago, Illinois, Philadelphia, cities all around the world, far outside the United States. And people were talking about that, And so I went out there, and it was overwhelmingly positive. We had some people. There was one pickup truck full of people, and he held his phone case out, and it said, I couldn't read the small wording, but I could see Trump and Jesus were both on his phone case. So he's holding it out. One lady had a red Trump hat, and she just waved it out the window. I don't know what that was. There was one woman. She had her 10-year-old son, and she had him wrapped up in Trump stuff. And I thought, poor kid, his kid has no idea what's going on in the world. He's fucking 10. He doesn't know what Doge is. He doesn't understand Christian nationalism. He's not aware of Project 2025. He probably has no idea who the founding fathers even were, or certainly what their intentions were. And yet she has propped him up out here at 71st and Memorial, one of the busiest intersections, wigged up, in the whole city. And this kid is being indoctrinated, much like I was indoctrinated into Christianity when I was a kid. And so she was walking up and down. She had a bullhorn. We love Trump. We love Trump. And she just walked up and down this 1-block section back and forth. And the one car drove by, and the passenger window rolled down, and a woman that you would just envision is a Trumper. She looks like 35, blonde hair, looks like she doesn't have a care in the world. And she's like, we love Trump. And you could actually hear her voice do that as they drove through. But largely, we saw solidarity. People were honking and cheering and smiling and giving us the high five. And they were standing up out of their sunroofs. Yeah, we got you. Go get them. It was cool. I had some listeners show up. So they found me in the crowd, and we hung out for a little while, took some pictures. It was awesome. It was awesome. And I thought, well, here in this town, to see that kind of response that's pretty remarkable. And so I wanted to share, anyway, the messaging I thought was interesting, and forgive me for repeating myself from the earlier video from 2 days ago, but what I saw from the other side was a cult of personality. Trump was the argument. We love Trump. Go Trump. They just said his name. Trump, 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 right? there was not a position being held, except for maybe Trump, America. But on our side, we saw protect diversity, equity, inclusion. Don't touch my social security. Doge is anti-American. We are not a monarchy. No kings. Return decency to America. This is not what my grandfather died for. You know, there were some people there who were the children and grandchildren of war veterans who put themselves on the line for American freedom. And they're like, you know, they if they were alive today, they would be outraged. There were plenty of pro-science signs that were cool, and there was a lot of humor, and this was true worldwide. And that's one thing I do like about this culture, because while we did have one or two people, they just went up and down, and they were like, "Fuck Trump, fuck Trump." You know, I don't think that's where we want to go right now. It's not that we don't feel it. But I think, come on, we got to dig a little deeper, right? Let's do something better than that. Let's do something that requires a little more, I don't know, consideration, thoughtfulness, cleverness, humor, etc., because that's who we are. And by and large, people all around the world did not disappoint. So while I'm waiting for the switchboard to populate, I have pulled up a, let me see if I can get this over here. I have pulled up the screen. Okay, can you see that? Let's see if I can insert myself in the corner here. So this is a sign. Hopefully everybody can see it. Let me know in the chat if you can. This guy had a quote from The Big Lebowski, which is one of the greatest films ever made, the Coen brothers classic from The Big Lebowski. The dude says, "This aggression will not stand, man." And he was borrowing from H.W. Bush at the time. I thought that was pretty good. Here's a bad Doge dog. Bad Doge. Very, very bad Doge. They're eating the checks. They're eating the balances. You can share your own in the comments. Can you? I don't know if you can share images in comments. I don't know. Sorry. Imagine this car filled with bees. It would have been better, I think, if the picture would have been in color, but I get it. Maybe they didn't have a color printer, but that's awesome. I laughed my ass off with that one. See, it's still kind of a fuck Trump, but there's style there. I think, you know, humor is such a good weapon for knocking the elite down on a perch, even if they're so self-aware that they would never feel knocked down. The self-serious types, I think one of the best things we can do is to just mock them. Just laugh at them. We do not take you seriously. You may think you're all that, right? You may think you're all that. We don't. The British have mastered this. Let me come back to full screen here. The British have mastered this. Remember a few years ago, this was back when the Queen was still alive. And I think he went over to visit the royal family. And the British were flying big blimps of Trump in a diaper, baby infantile Trump that was floating around. And they were hanging signs or holding placards that said stuff like, you know, to the Queen, feed him to the corgis. Just awesome. Just awesome. So anyway, the British really know how to do this thing. Okay, going back to my images. When he goes to hell, does that mean he is a flamin' hot Cheeto? Not bad. Is he wearing the Cheeto outfit? Is that a Cheeto costume? A Cheeto bag? And are you a puffy Cheeto? Or are you a crunchy Cheeto person? I'm a crunchy myself. I like the crunchy. And puffy's not bad. I like the way they dissolve in your mouth. The crunchy's just got a magic to it. Are you a crunchy? Or are you a puffy? I saved quite a few here. It was the fuck aroundest of times. It was the find outest of times. But it was the Gulf of Mexico at birth. Does anybody know if the Associated Press is still banned from the White House press corps for not saying the Gulf of America? Obama was talking about this when he did a Midas. I think was he at Hamilton University, and it was broadcast on the Midas Touch channel. You know, I had two thoughts. First of all, he had a great point. He's like, if I had tried any of the stuff that was going on now, they would have crucified. If I'd have said Fox News, you're banned from the press corps for whatever reason, you have offended me. You know, people would have lost their freaking minds, right? And he kind of talked about some stuff like that. I will say though that interview was the most disjointed and fragmented I have ever heard Barack Obama ever. I don't know if he was out of practice. I don't know if he was tired, but he was not connecting sentences well at all. He would stop and he would kind of, there'd be a pregnant pause, and then he would look for the next word and he'd look for the next word. And I think he may have just been tired or something, but I found myself getting a little frustrated, and I've never heard him sort of grope for language. Normally, he's a great communicator. It's just one of those things. But he was saying that kind of thing. If I had banned Fox News, they would have lost their mind. And yet the Associated Press was banned because they still reference the Gulf of Mexico. And so anyway, I was curious to see if that was still going on. There's the Gulf of Stupidity. I don't know who drew that effigy of Trump. He's still mad about which government office was it that had a portrait of Trump, and he was losing his mind about it. And the artist who painted that said that she is worried about her career. Apparently, her reputation has been soiled. I can't remember where it is. Forgive me for not being prepared. Hands off our civil rights. Lady Liberty is pissed. She's pissed. My lovelies in the chat say Denver, Colorado. I will read super chats for those who want to support me via a super chat. I will get to those in just a few, and thank you for your support. You can also join the channel. That's a way to support me and my work. Hands off. This is just, they just played it straight, but the sign says so much. Hands off Social Security, Canada, cancer research, schools, LGBTQ plus rights, immigrants, our books, libraries, education, national parks, our jobs, fair elections, Medicare, science, marginalized people, my body, in case that wasn't clear. And I'll tell you what I like about this sign, beyond the fact that it's just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 punch of awesomeness, they laid it out really well. Like when I do that kind of shit, I run out of room. You ever do that when you're doing a thing and all of a sudden you got to kind of go up, or you have to just get another piece of paper and start over? I'm just saying. This was the Hands Off 2025 website. They've got another one coming up, a demonstration planned for April 19th, I think. And if there's one in your area, I would encourage you to be a part of that. Honk if you never texted secret war plans. And look, she's got the emojis, which was one of the criticisms, many criticisms of the whole Signal Gate thing, where they accidentally added the Atlantic reporter to a text thread about war plans. And then they're like, well, it wasn't war plans and it wasn't secret and we didn't do anything wrong. And I don't know what the matter with you people is. So but her emails crowd, they're all, whatever. It doesn't matter when we do it. But they were communicating about this strike using emojis. And I'm like, this is not how serious people handle foreign policy. It's so bad, even the introverts are here. And I saw a bunch of these out there. The introverts said, you know what? We care enough. We're just going to we're going to come out and be a part of it. And I'm kind of an introvert too. A lot of people don't know that about me, but I get that. I call it selectively social for me. It's not, there's a misunderstanding about introverts that they don't like people. That's not always the case, or that they don't enjoy being in the company of those, of other people or a crowd or those types of things. That's certainly not always true. It just means the social battery drains pretty quickly. And then you need to go and recharge the battery in a quiet place. When I'm in a convention, I love people. I'm all over it. I can work a room as well as anybody. I feed on the energy of being with my family, my free thought family. But I'll tell you, when you know, there's a break in the day, I go back to the room and I just have to recharge. I just need quiet and I need to recenter. But the introverts, they banded together and they made their signs and they came out, and good on them. This was one of our listeners. His name is Jake. He showed up in Tulsa. He had the sign, "Make Idiocracy Fiction Again." I thought that was pretty good. These were the two signs I made up, and I had them glued to each other. So it was a two-sider, and I just flipped it. So this was my protection from having, pepper spray sent my way, is let's use Thomas Jefferson. And mostly I showed the Donald Trump version because this was the image that was posted on the official White House account. So it's not like I mock this up. It's not a caricature that I came up with. It's not AI, or whatever it is, might have been made with AI. But this is official. This was posted by Trump's people, showing him in a crown standing in front of New York. I had cropped out the caption that said, "Long live the king." So they can't come after me for trying to make him look like a monarch. This is shit that the White House put out officially. And then I put the quote by Jefferson: "I was much an enemy to monarchy before I came to Europe. I am 10,000 times more so since I have seen what they are." And then occasionally I'd flip it around and show the Thomas Jefferson version with his head on top of it so people would make the connection. But mostly I kept the Trump side faced forward, and the people at the event loved it. I wonder, were there too many words, though? I caught people parked at an intersection. So I think most people had time to read it. But now that I look at it, I wonder, was it too thick? Does it need to be fewer words? Or it has punch words that you can pick out, like some of those other more wordy signs. At least you could pick the terms out more quickly. Your eyes lock onto those. Is that too much? Because I am planning to do another protest whenever possible. And I don't know if I need to maybe make a better sign that has a different message. We shall see. The difference between Trump and Jim Jones is that Trump would charge for the Kool-Aid. And the Kool-Aid would be gold glittered. You guys seen that stuff on the Trump website? He's selling that $900 watch. Trump watch, $900. He's got the $499 golden sneakers. Got those out there. He's got a whole bunch of shit with his name on it. It's crazy. No kings, and also know your parasites. Ticks, worms, billionaires. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Love migrants. Leviticus 19:34. Welcome the stranger. Now, this is a messy one. Let me come back to full screen so we can chat for a second. Let me pull that scripture up. It's 19. This is an Old Testament verse that a lot of people like to talk about. When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Okay, well, I get that. We're talking about a specific command where we are showing an open tent policy to those who are not of our tribe. And that is a legitimate pushback, I think, in many ways, to the war on immigrants. The problem with it is that the Bible is a very schizophrenic book, and there are a shit ton more verses that deal with tribal wars. Specifically, it's the Israelites against pretty much everybody else. And in those verses, God's like, go into the opposing camp and kill everybody and steal everything and burn that shit down. Well, not steal it. Reallocate resources because it belongs to the Lord anyway. They just happen to have it in their homes and castles. So, reallocate those for God and then burn the whole goddamn city to the ground after you've slaughtered not just the men, the women, the children, but the animals as well. Right. And that's a problem for me. So I like the spirit of the Leviticus 19 sentiment about immigrants, and I've used it. The problem is that it doesn't apply across the board. The Bible is extremely two-faced about immigrants, about out groups, about those who are not God's people. And I'll tell you, the foreigners don't always get, a fair shake in Scripture. I don't know. You can tell me what you have to say about that. Let's go back to the visuals as the switchboard continues to populate MAGA America. Come for the measles. Stay for the secret kidnapping to a foreign prison camp. Did you hear that the Supreme Court has put a temporary block on that mandate, the midnight mandate, to bring the man back who was wrongly deported to El Salvador's prison? I'm trying to figure out, why would you temporarily block the midnight deadline if you're the Supreme Court? Are they buying time to go through the case, or are they revealing that they don't have a spine and they are about to just line up behind the Orange Avenger? I don't know what that means. I don't know enough about it, but I'm interested. I'm thinking right now there are two fronts remaining that we might. It's not going to be the Congress. The judiciaries were screwed, right? Until in the midterms, and I'm not sure we're going to survive to the midterms. It's only freaking April of 2025. People are like, boy, wait till the midterms. And I'm like, oh, shit. The midterms? Okay, fine. Beyond the legislative, rather, we can't count them, but the judiciary, the judges, and the everyday people marching in the streets, I think, are really the only hope that we have left. So I am seeing there are lawsuits being filed. Judges are prohibiting certain executive orders. There is pushback from the bench, from our courts of law. But at the Supreme Court level, this is the big question mark, especially with a 5-4 majority. And you've got Roberts, and you've got Amy Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh and these other sort of Christian nationalist sycophants in there. Are they going to line up lockstep like lemmings behind Trump and totally ignore and subvert and betray the rule of law? Or are they in some way going to begin to push back? Because who wouldn't say, I am a Supreme Court justice. You will not delegitimize me, my role, the court, or the law. I mean, I would think, if nothing else, for reasons of ego, they would say, oh, no, hell no. You're not going to come in and into my house here. I'm a Supreme Court justice. And I'm curious to see what that response is going to be at the highest level of our court. I'm not optimistic, but you never know. We'll see if they come back and restore that mandate to bring the guy back home. Orange lies matter, and fire the felon. Penguins against fascism. Oh, the penguin memes are awesome. We had two people in a penguin costume join us in Tulsa for the march. They were just walking around, and they were warm because it was a freaking cold day. We had thunderstorms, massive cold front blew in. We had cold wind. We're bundled up in down jackets and mittens and hoods. And the penguin costume people were toasty and warm. Very clever. We tariffed penguins, but not Russia? Good point. The Penguins sent me, forgive me for the cropped off top of the sign, but that's how the photograph was published. I didn't crop it because I'm lazy or I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry. I just got to defend myself. The Penguins sent me, and the shirt, of course, says resist. This is not normal. All in all, you're just another prick with no wall. Donnie, the quicker fucker-upper. You may not know. How old do you have to be to know what this references? The old Bounty commercials? Bounty paper towels, the quicker picker-upper? You may have to have been born before 1990 to get this one. I'm sorry. I need, can I make, hang on. Can I make you a mod? How do I make you a mod? I need to mod somebody. Forgive me. How are you, Kristen? How are you not a mod already? Supreme Court just suspended the judge's order to require the deported man be presented by tonight. Yeah, I thought they delayed it. I guess suspended is the same. That's the latest that I have heard. Forgive me. I am looking and I'm not seeing everything that you are seeing. Let me take another look here in just a second. Please forgive me. I'm a staff of one. Not right versus left, right versus wrong. Science has advanced humankind more than any religion. Isn't that the absolute truth? And there were a lot of pro science signs out there. Science keeps your dumbass alive. Pretty much. Did you see RFK Jr. starting to flip flop on vaccines, big anti vaxxer, and all of a sudden measles starts to go crazy? And he's thinking, oh shit, maybe a vaccine might be a good idea. Is this the guy? You know, somebody was making, was it Forrest who was making the point on the recent podcast that the people losing their minds about DEI, the argument is that, okay, well, I want the most qualified person in the job, and DEI takes ill-qualified minorities and it gives them the job in favor of the extra qualified people, which is a myth. This is totally a Fox Newsism. It is not what DEI is. But then these same people say it's awesome that RFK Jr., who has no qualifications in health or medicine, is now the director of health and medicine, the National Institute of Health. They're like okay with that. You know what I'm saying? I can click the three dots to the right of any message. Well, I'm not seeing the problem posts, and I'm sure it's because I'm looking. Oh, I see. You don't want me to ban Ascalon. You want me to mod Ascalon. Oh, because I was like, I don't see anything that is problematic. I hit the three dots. I don't want to delete, put you in timeout, or ban you. I'm going to have to figure it out in a little while. I am so very sorry. Let's see. Back to my sign. So much wrong, so little cardboard. Congress, stop kissing the ring. Is every Republican in Congress an invertebrate? Jesus Christ. Together we can stop this shit. And there he is. Tangerine Palpatine sitting on the toilet, which is right now America. Or the United States. Some people get pedantic. It's known colloquially as America. Just get over yourself, okay? Grab him by the testicles. We're all the couch now. Now, if you're not familiar what this is, it's based on a bogus story. It's not true, but it's still funny that J.D. Vance apparently had sex with a couch, put his business in couch cushions or something, and it didn't happen. But it's just funny, and it's just funny that it's how he's now being defined. They call him the couch fucker. Okay, so now we're all the couch. I saw this one and shared it. If not fascist, why fascist shaped? Funny. That's funny. Also, eat the rich is a nice touch. Wisconsin hates Elon so much, it could be one of his kids. I think that's the last one. I thought those are pretty good. I thought those are pretty good. Can you give me just a second here to see if I can make a mod? Hang on. Hold on. I starred you, but I don't know what that means. So I'm going to have to go and find out what that is all about. And it wouldn't, you know what? It wouldn't be one of my shows if we didn't have some sort of mod issues. I've got super chat in from Jam and Jay. I loves your books. My favorites are your ghost stories. I spent my fair share of time at Fort Sill and wish I would have discovered you sooner. Thank you so very much, Jammin, for that. I do a Ghost Stories podcast every October, and now I have 2 audible.com audiobooks out there. The first one has, I think, 14 or 15 stories, and the second one, I think, has 23 or 24. Is that right? I got a bunch of stories. And what happens is that I spend so much time producing them every single year that I accumulate them, and then I release them in audible.com format. And then I've got my 4 other books that I published: Deconverted, Sacred Cows, Confessions of a Former Fox News Christian, Christianity Made Me Talk Like an Idiot. And then I've narrated a bunch of others for Dr. Joshua Bowen, Dr. Abby Haver, Dr. David Madison, Hector Garcia. And so it's like I've narrated 14 total audiobooks. And, it's funny because now they've got this technology that they are offering content creators where, hey, AI, if you want, you can set it up so that AI will emulate your voice and AI will narrate the audiobook for you, doing a favor to the authors and taking one thing off of their plate. That's how they're selling it. I don't want AI to narrate my audiobooks. I don't want AI to host the show. The idea of removing the human element, it's not that I'm opposed to AI, but I thought AI was supposed to assist us so that we could do less of the grunt shit and we could focus more on creation in this world. But what's happening is that AI is taking over the creation. And it's not even true inspiration from what I understand. It's just a lot of it's just plagiarism software. And so if I know how I want it inflected. I know what I want the temperature of a paragraph to be. I know what words I want to punch. I know. And even if AI was to emulate it perfectly, I know it wouldn't be me. I want to be there in the studio. I want to tell the story. Jesus, I wrote the thing, for God's sake. And now you want me to hand the narration over. But this is the thing. And apparently it's the thing for podcasters and all kind of audio content creators, where they're just giving AI the text and saying, okay, here's a sample of me. You go be me, and I'm going to go do something else. And I have a real problem with that. Plus, we'll come to the point now where you don't know if it's them or not them. And then what if somebody else gets a hold of the sample and then they decide they can do whatever they want with you? And that shit's already going on. You've had people who've had video, their faces have been plastered. I almost said plastered on stuff that they weren't a part of. And I mean, it's a scary new world. It's one of those things. I feel like that line in Jurassic Park, right? Just because we didn't stop to consider if we should. There's that John Connor meme where it's like, this is John Connor looking at you as you make friends with AI. And I sound like a Luddite in a lot of ways when I say I have real concerns. I'm not opposed to AI. I'm not opposed to smart software. But I really am opposed to plagiarism of the true artist, the death of the artist, because now somebody can just decide that they're going to make a computer do it on the cheap. And the people who have who have really brought the humanity to whatever art they are providing, they are left twisting in the wind. Why in the world aren't we letting AI do the grunt shit and we're supporting humanity as humans create? Sorry, digression. It just irritates me. Audible.com has my books and it's not AI. I was there the whole time. Trust me. I was in the room. D, hey, what you doing, D? Stacy and I want you to come visit. Sad we will not be able to come now to AACon. The American Atheist National Convention kicks off a week from Friday in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Tickets are at atheists.org. Yeah, that's right. Or you can just go to my website and you'll see all the events listed. thethinkingatheist.com/events. D, you will be missed. I'm coming to Canada, though. I'll be in Alberta coming up in May, and I'm going to Sarnia, Ontario in August. And I'm literally in hug mode. So when I see you both, if I see you both, prepare yourself because there will be a movie-like reunion at that moment. And thank you for the support. Jammin says the golden bullshitter, Christianity's new idol. Ascalon said, we're all the couch. And when we die, we all have to face the Reaper cushions. Call, thank you for that. 1999. Thank you from a Chinese American, an atheist with a devoted Christian spouse, and a court interpreter in New York. Your enunciation, utterance, articulation, and tempo of speech have constantly been inspiring for me. Holy shit. Thank you for that. That's one of the best compliments I've had in a long time. And it wasn't AI. It was a real dude. I mean, you've heard me stutter through some of the monologue tonight. You've heard me stutter through some of that. If we could clean it up and make it perfect, would it make it worth it for it not to be me and just to be a machine? I don't. And when I say machine, yes, I mean software. But thank you for that. Lovely, lovely sentiment. Let's talk to some people. I've got till about I've got about 40 minutes with you here before I got to take off tonight. Let's talk to Christy at 317. Christy, hi. Can you hear me?
I can, Seth. Can you hear me?
I can indeed. It's an honor to speak to you. What's going on?
Great. And it's great to talk to you, too. I talked to you in Sarnia in 2023, I think. Been a while. It feels like yesterday, but, we had an election since then. So, yeah, I could talk about all the science signs as a PhD in nursing. With a PhD in nursing, I have a lot of thoughts, but that's not what I called up to talk about. So I will leave all of the intelligent life forms that developed all the signs for the protest on Saturday to their work. They did a good job. But yeah, let's see here. So what I called to talk about was the mental gymnastics of an atheist in a 12-step program. Are you up for that?
Yeah, I mean, the rules are out the window. You can talk about whatever you want. We've dealt with AA and some other similar programs that involve higher powers, etc. And I know AA has been a point of contention for a lot of people. Talk to me. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm in Debtors Anonymous. I avoided all the substances, but unfortunately, you can't avoid food or spending money. So a lot of people in Debtors Anonymous are also happen to be in Overeaters Anonymous. I'm actually only in Debtors Anonymous. Could probably qualify for both, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But yeah, I'm okay with my conception of a higher power, which is the whole idea of GOD, group of debtors. For alcoholics, I think it's group of drunks. And I've always said that GOD is my higher power, but my higher power is not God. So my higher power is the fellowship, the people that I meet, the experience, strength, and hope, the wisdom of the folks in the program, et cetera, things like that. And that works well for me until I start thinking about, the kind of I listened to Noah and Eli and Heath on over at Stage an Atheist, and I think there's a reason why you're listening to an atheist and they're the Stage an Atheist, because they hold no they hold no space in their heart for, or in their satire for moderate Christians. You know what I mean? So whereas I know that you hold space in your heart, and I believe even in your home, for moderate Christians. So but it's really a challenge for me when I think about, am I contributing to the delinquency of Christianity by participating in this thing? Because the bid book, the bid book of AA is like 80 years old, or well, actually 90 years old at this point, and very, very, very male dominated. And I am like not, I mean, very patriarchal, and also very God Christianity is the God that you're supposed to believe in, and that sort of thing. So,
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
You're saying that you are involved with Alcoholics Anonymous, or is it Debtors Anonymous, or?
Well, I'm in Debtors Anonymous, but number one, all of the anonymi came from the Anonymouses came from AA.
Okay.
So many of the Anonymouses have you read the AA literature as a part of your study of the other programs, and
okay.
I'm in a part of DA that has really been helpful in my recovery, that involves daily study, and part of that daily study is a lot of it is the AA Big Book. So,
well, for those who are not aware of what the controversy about AA is, they don't use the word God. They do say that you need to find and rely on and focus on a higher power. Now, they've watered this down to say just pick something. And I don't find that a statement of real conviction. Right?
To an extent. But the thing is, I mean, when you read the literature, it's like, well, if you have to only just sort of go along to get along, or fake it till you make it, that's okay. But eventually you'll probably find your way back to God, because that's what most of them do. And again, this is the 90-year-old bid book we're talking about that's been updated. It's on the 4th edition now, but it leaves some things to be desired. Let's put it that way. Can you still hear me okay?
I sure can. I sure can.
Okay, great. So, yeah, it leaves a lot to be desired in terms of the, on an individual basis, you can do what I'm doing. But when I'm reading the literature, it's very much patriarchal, and it's very much God, Jesus, because it's American, because it was based in America and the founders were in America, and it was the 1930s, it's all very much Jesus, etc.
Sure.
Christianity.
Well,
probably.
My short response, forgive me, I'm a little bit on the clock here, but my short response is I would never tell anybody not to do something if it was working for them, but I would want to have a discussion about, why is it working? Are there better alternatives? I have a problem.
Yeah.
My problem with AA isn't even as much, I mean, the God thing is a problem. What I really don't like about Alcoholics Anonymous and the offshoots is that they want you to focus on a third party to help solve your problem. Find a higher power, an other, to give you support, accountability, inspiration. I don't like this outward focus. That's different than accountability. The narrative seems to be that you can't do it unless you rely on a higher other, which will rescue you or lead you through. And I have a problem with that. I think the idea should be to empower people on their journey, and then give them all the support and help and love and the resources that they need to be able to do it. But I don't like stripping people of their agency in that way.
I agree 1,000,000%. And that's pretty much what I've done with my program. And that's where I have problems with everything that you just said before that.
Yeah.
Because I am using I am using the fellowship to help me with my agency and things like that. And I consider the power granted to myself to be the people that it's like the collective knowledge and wisdom of the people in the fellowship is my higher power.
Yeah.
And it's not that I can't do it on my own, it's that I want that support. So there's where I'm at. But I still have that conflict, especially when I'm thinking about am I contributing to delinquency of Christians by doing
I would never
anyway,
say that.
Thank
No,
you, Seth. I know.
No, I would never
You
say
got
that.
it, Joey,
I
but
think if you are participating, I don't see that as enabling. And maybe you are gleaning a certain kind of support outside of their rules, but they've got a good infrastructure, and maybe that has helped you in that way. Maybe it's the best option that you have at the moment until a better option might come along. There are some great resources, the Secular Therapy Project, Secular Sobriety. You'll have to vet these on your own because I'm not an expert. But don't beat yourself up if you participate and then go in and bend their rules to fit you. I honestly think that's kind of ingenious. And I think you do what you got to do.
Myself in a pretzel, but yeah.
Yeah, you do what you got to do. Don't beat yourself up. You're not cheating anybody, okay?
Thanks. Talk to you later. Take care, everyone. And I want to say, do what works for you. If you're out there listening to me and having the same questions,
sure.
Follow Seth, please. Do what works for you.
Okay. All right. Thanks. If you go to an AA meeting and you just all of the higher power bullshit, right? But you are able to be in a room full of people who are going on a similar journey. You were able to find an accountability partner or whatever they call it, a sponsor, someone who can help keep you centered. If you develop relationships, if you are not alone in a place of isolation where you're struggling with your addiction, if there is something about that model that you can glean help from, I would never say, oh shit, they believe in Jesus or whatever. Don't walk in the door. I'm not going to be that guy. And but I think at the end of the day, we do eventually want to have the conversation about, are you stripping yourself or allowing someone else to strip you of your very real agency, as you are the one who is there. You're the one who made the decision to show up. You've made a commitment to try to beat this addiction, whatever it is. It's your journey first. That has to be part of the conversation at some point. Otherwise, you are at the mercy of anybody who wants to strip you of who you are in a great many ways. Russell at 614. Thanks for waiting on me. Russell, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome. Let's talk. What's on your mind?
Yes. Have you ever seen an image of that snake eating its own tail before? I think you've probably seen it before.
I have. Yes, I have.
Well, it definitely seems like that's what's happening with MAGA right now. You're seeing a lot of people like Ben Shapiro and Elon Musk getting really upset over the tariffs. Apparently, according to JP Morgan, there's a 60% chance that we're going to have a recession. And the lowest estimate would be SAP Global, which is between 30 to 35%. So a lot of people, even in MAGA, are upset. And the Trump staffers, they're not listening. They're trying to excuse Trump's behavior. It sort of reminds me of, ever seen that Twilight Zone episode with that farming family, and they got that one son, and he has this power over reality, and he's doing all this terrible stuff to their community and to the animals, but they're afraid that their little boy's going to do something bad to them, so they have to constantly reply to all the bad things he does with, "You did a good thing, son. You did a good thing." Like they're all scared, but they don't know what to do about it.
Yeah. They made a film version of that for the Twilight Zone movie, which came out in the 1990s. It's not a good film. It's an anthology with 4 different stories, and that's one of them. This child had scary powers, and so his entire family and social circle walked on eggshells around him, patted him on the head, told him how great everything was, did everything he wanted, because if he had a temper tantrum, he could mess you up, including cause your body to mutate or just kill you outright. They were a terrified people. So that's the analogy you're using, right?
Yep.
So,
well, I mean, Trump doesn't have the power, but it seems like you're acting like that,
Yeah. I don't know. For 9 years, I've thought every day I'd wake up the next day and go, well, this'll be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And then the next day, well, this ought to send people over the edge. And the next day I say, well, that ought to wake people up. And here we are. And I don't have a lot of hope. And how pathetic would it be if only when they get fired, or they can't feed their kids, or they're put in danger because medical services aren't there for them when somebody has a heart attack or they get a disease that requires a vaccine, etc. Well, how pathetic is it if only then do they wake up and say, oh wait, now I'm going to do the right thing? Well, that's only self-interest. I don't know what's going to happen. Do you think there will be a turning of the tide with the tariffs and there's a talk of maybe a stock market crash causing then a housing crash like we had in 2008 and a complete economic meltdown? I mean, what do you think about all that?
I mean, I'm not entirely sure. Even like when COVID-19 was going around, which was a lot more contagious than like this current measles outbreak, there was like Trump who were giving these pseudo medical, medications for treating COVID, like horse pace. I think it was called like ivermectin, I believe.
Yeah, it was hydroxychloroquine and maybe ivermectin as well, but certainly hydroxychloroquine. He was pitching pretty good.
Yeah. Wait, so I believe he said like he advised people to inject into their veins bleach.
Oh,
I believe.
Yeah.
I believe he
yeah.
said that.
He was asking the question, can I? And there was an actual scientist in the room, and the camera close, you see it close up, and she's like this. She's like, oh, God. So you didn't say it out loud, which disappoints me. Where's the spine? Where's somebody who's like, well, actually, that's a bunch of crap, and it's really dangerous. I'd sure like to see a lot more of that, So.
And there was people who were, on hospital gurneys and they were refusing like actual treatment, and they were saying, no, inject us with bleach and inject us with ivermectin,
I don't know what's going to happen. I know we don't share the same reality with a lot of people. I'm scared for the future. The only thing that's given me hope again is that a few judges are pushing back in key places, and we are seeing, I think the number's up to 5.2 million people participated in public demonstrations during the Hands Off 2025 rally, and I suspect those numbers are going to continue to swell. I certainly hope so. Anything else, Russell, before I move on?
Yes. Recently, Joe Rogan, apparently he found out about this gay hairdresser who got deported. And like finally he pushed back against something Trump did, and he said, you can't deport gay hairdressers. But I mean, it seems pretty clear that yes, Trump can indeed deport gay hairdressers that did nothing wrong just because they were from like Venezuela.
We're all on the bubble, man. We're all on the bubble. I just think how long before we're in black vans going up and down the streets and cities across the whole freaking country, right? Anybody who grazes, I just think at some point, right? At some point, if he's not stopped now, we are totally looking at, was it Hungary? Obviously is the model they're talking about. Russell, thanks for being a part of the show, and thanks for calling. Take care of yourself, all right?
You too.
Yeah, we'll see you later. Did you read that for his, I think it's 79th birthday coming up in June, Donald Trump wants a military parade? Can't afford to pay salaries. Nah. Can't afford health workers, civil servants, park workers, scientists. Nah. Give me a military parade. Let's pay for that shit. So a 5-time draft dodger, 5 times, right? President Bone Spurs wants a parade, military parade. What's that look like? We're talking North Korea type shit. He's walking on down and there's like tanks and people in uniform, doing the, And if they do that, you know there are going to be some hardcore protests going on with that. And you talk about this. Hell, I think I would travel for that protest. And the signs are going to be awesome because I know this group, this demographic. We will go hard, but we will go hard with style. Let's talk to Junior, Oklahoma City. Oh, area code 405. You're just up or down the turnpike. Are you with me?
I'm with you, brother. Good to talk to you again. I know time is precious, and I'll try to keep this succinct.
What's up?
What do we do here, man? I don't know if you remember me. We've talked a couple of times before. I'm obviously on your side of the house when it comes to all of this madness. My parents are devout Christians, Oklahomans, and of course, MAGA supporters. And today I received a meme. Normally I just brush over that shit, but dude, I've got a 25-year union job, and after looking at my 401k after the past couple of days, I kind of snaps, man. I kind of unloaded on my dad over a simple meme. And it was something about, I'll read it to you so I can get it right. And because you'll appreciate the irony in this shit. I'm kind of at a loss as, what to do, what to say with family members. Here it is. It's the election of Trump did not create the less hate. It revealed it.
Hang on.
Did I overreact?
Yes. Yeah, no, I don't think so at all. Is he sending you memes out of the blue as part of a passion aggression model? Like he's going to show you? Have you asked him, hey, stop doing this stuff?
Dude, it's the weirdest. We have a really good relationship. They are devout Christian. They know I'm an atheist. I've tried to have conversation. It goes nowhere in that department. So I've just kind of given up. But when it comes to politics, I mean, my dad held the same union job I did for 32 years. He was blue collar. And to see him slide into this fucking, spell that everyone around me is under, I'm just blown away. I mean, these were hardworking people, school teacher, guy that worked for Old Mother Bell, and they joined the whole Asbury Methodist split thing and went around my hometown and campaigned against the LGBTQ crowd. And my best friend is a lesbian. It just, where do we go with this shit, man? I know on a personal level, that's kind of a difficult question. So if you want to phrase it, for all of this, and I know this is one of those, I'm one in a million, especially in this red state where it's dividing up families. But dude, it couldn't be more obvious to people who are just paying a little bit of a fuck of attention.
Yeah. This is the question of the ages. I was at a thing the other day and I heard somebody, and I know they don't know. They don't know what Doge is. They don't know who the kids are who are running Doge or behind the scenes. They don't know really anything about Elon Musk. They don't know anything about Donald Trump except what they see on Fox News and hear on right-wing radio. And somebody brought up Elon Musk and they're like, oh yeah, never discount Elon. He'll get it done. And it's a cult. It was literally another cult of personality thing. I don't know what to do with it. I haven't had success either. I struggle with despair. Now, I am giving the speech I'm giving in Minneapolis at the American Atheist Convention. I'm the featured speaker at their Friday night banquet, and I brought.
Very cool.
I brought the speech will eventually release online. The problem is that it's so topical that every time I give the speech, everything changes and I go back and update everything because it's related to everyday headlines. But it does talk about resistance movements that have happened in critical moments throughout our history. And it has been awful and it has been horrible, and people have been brutalized and discounted, dehumanized, enslaved, killed, and it's just been insane. And we've seen this throughout our history. And then so often in the wake of those, we have seen resistance movements rise up. And it hasn't been good, it hasn't been pleasant. It's often been bloody, but we have seen corrective movements, corrective measures taken, and a kind of revolution back toward decency. And it is my hope now, as Heather Cox Richardson, the American historian, has said, that we are at a point where we were in the mid 1800s, where we are seeing the white enslavers who are trying to suffocate the nation, but the people will rise up and restore democracy. That does give me hope. I think we have to stay visible, and that's what these marches are about. Calls and letters to our Congress people. Let's sound the drum. But honestly, if your dad continues to send you shit and you have drawn a line and said, do not do this, I think you have every right to get in his face and say, stop it or else. I just don't think that's appropriate at all, for what it's worth. Okay.
I appreciate the advice, man. Have a great evening. Thanks again for doing what you're doing. It means a lot.
All right. We'll see you. I mean, if I think you have to draw that line. Look, I know where you are. I've educated myself on these issues. I know my value system. Don't send me anymore, right? I think you have to have that moment. And you just say, do not send me any more of this. All right. This is not how adult conversations happen. It is not the way I want this stuff communicated. It is a boundary violation. It is not the relationship I want to have with you. Do not do this again, please, right? You're being strong, but you're still the adult in the room. And that gives you somewhere to go if they continue to violate the boundary. And then you say, I made a rule, you broke it, here's a consequence. And the consequence can be whatever you want it or need it to be. I'm going to pull back. I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to do this. I mean, I hate to see it happen, but it's their fault. But I think you got to draw the line clearly so they know where it is before they step or don't step. I've got 705. I don't see a name. What's your name?
Oh, I forgot my name. Hi, it's Bill. I'm calling from Canada, actually. I'm a former Canadian Christian radio broadcaster, and I've been following you for a while because your story very much mirrors mine. So I just wanted to say thanks. The first time I met you was at a Reason Rally way back when. So I went through those aha moments. I did that in Bible college, actually, which was tough. I promoted Amy Grant, Randy Stonehill, Sweet Comfort Band.
Wow.
And I finally prayed the wrong prayer. Show me the evidence. And that wasn't the best thing.
So you and I must be close to the same age. A lot of the people aren't going to be aware of the groups we're talking about, but Sweet Comfort Band, that was 1980s, right? Was that 80s?
Yeah, that was in the 80s for sure. Yeah.
They were
Steve Green.
Yeah, Steve Green. He was a pianist. He was very much almost a product of the 60s and the 70s. He was killed in a plane crash, of all things. I think he and his daughter died in a terrible plane crash. But this was really right before contemporary Christian music exploded in the 1990s. But it sounds like you were there. How long were you on the air?
Well, it was Christian broadcasting was legal in Canada up until say 15 years ago. So I was doing shows on university radio stations, and I actually had a Christian radio show Sunday mornings, as I was basically broadcasting to cows in Saskatchewan, but also to people on the way to church. So I had one there, and I went back to radio college, and right about then was when my faith started falling apart.
Was that traumatic for you? Was it traumatic for you when?
Oh, when you're in, I went to an evangelical high school, Caronport High School, and then Briarcrest Bible College after that. When all your friends no longer talk to you, you've lost all your high school friends. You've lost your purpose in life. I thought I was going to be a youth pastor or a missionary or something. And when you're in Bible college and you start realizing that there's some massive problems with the, breathe the word of God, that house of cards fell really quickly for me. And it started to get really rough. And I probably went through a good 5, 6, 7 years of just being angry.
How you doing these days?
I don't know. Did you go through the anger thing too?
Oh, hell yeah. You can see it in my work. The first 4 years of me being an activist, my stuff was a lot more snarky. And, I went pretty hard at religious people, not just the dogma. And I was mad. I was mad at the people and the way they were treating me. I was mad at myself for being so thick to take so long to get out of the faith. But I was pretty keyed up, and it took me years to finally settle. That's a common story, and I think it's fair. I think if people are going through this journey and they're coming out of a high control culture, anger may be part of that process. It's not illegitimate. Just understand that it's there. And then try to work yourself to a point where the anger exists, but it doesn't define you. And you're not leading everywhere you go with your veins popping out of your forehead. But I'm glad you escaped. And it's nice to meet a fellow former Christian broadcaster who can speak the language, and, you keep living life on your terms. Okay.
Yeah. Just a quick note as Canadian, in not the 51st state. Just wanted to let you know, Canadians really have their back up. We're waving our flags. We're going to mini rallies. We're putting the flag on our underwear. We're becoming just as patriotic as we see on TV every single day from America. So just want you to know that Canada's not sitting down for this.
I'm glad. I think the saying I keep seeing out there is elbows up, which is like, bring it. Let's go.
Yeah.
In your circle, not to keep you too long,
elbows up.
Because I am on the clock here, but I want to know, what's the attitude toward, do Canadians look south and see millions of people marching in the streets and pushback and judges? And do they see a resistance? They haven't all lumped us into the Trump van, have they?
No, because I know, like, we have so many friends and relatives across the border. We know it's not everybody, but there is a cult of personality that we see. But look, we're having an election in about 3 weeks. And I'm working for a Liberal candidate, a member of Parliament here in Sudbury, Ontario. And when I work the phones, the only question or the only thing people care about is we have to have somebody to face up to Trump. Yeah. It's not about individual Americans. It's not about Americans at all. It's about Trump and how dare you call us the 51st state.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for not hating us. And thanks for calling and spreading some goodwill on the show. Pleasure to meet you, my friend. Be safe out there, okay?
Take care, my friend.
All right, we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Oh, some of my favorite people in the world are Canadians. Favorite. Maybe you'll give me asylum. We're going to visit Banff National Park right before the Weekend Reason Conference, first weekend of May in Alberta, Canada. And I guess 90 miles away or so is this beautiful national park. I'd heard about it from the Weekend Reason organizers. They were putting something together. So I Google searched images. Whoa. I mean, that is gorgeous. This massive, beautiful mountain range with the trees and the rivers. And, oh, I cannot wait. So Natalie and I are going to spend a few days in Banff. I just like to say Banff. And then I'll be segueing over into Alberta for the Weekend Reason event. And again, you can go to thethinkingatheist.com/events for details on that. I've got a web call, but I cannot see a name. Who's this?
Ditso.
Ditso. Welcome. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Yeah, we talked before a couple times. I'm the geopolitical analyst from Costa Rica, Central America.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to converse in regards of the title of your video, The Signs of Times. I just wanted to say this to the North Americans who are resisting Trump. Welcome to the club. Because Latin America has been resisting this type of autocrats and dictator wannabes and dictators for a long time. So get ready. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Well, how are you doing where you are?
Well, I just got back from a small trip I was doing between Mexico, Guatemala, Salvador, and then came back here to Costa Rica. Me personally, I'm doing well, doing my work, getting, day by day, the issues of protecting my community, protecting indigenous and Afro communities, trying to push forward legislation that will ensure better protection towards my communities, as well as helping communities throughout, all the way from Mexico down to Argentina and the Caribbean. I'm personally doing well, and I keep myself busy, trying to change what is wrong and trying to improve what is right.
Yeah. Well, whatever's going to happen here is going to be messy, probably kind of nasty, but it is my hope that eventually good will prevail. Thanks for showing solidarity. Thanks for the call. Anything else before I move on?
Beshko Wolava, pura vida. Beshko Wolava in the language of the Bribri means walk with your eyes open.
Walk.
And pura vida means pure life.
Walk with your eyes open. Good stuff. All right. Thank you.
Beshko
Thanks for talking
Wolava.
to me today, and thanks for calling. We'll see you soon. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Yeah. Somebody in the chat corrected me. I said Alberta. Yeah, I get it. Calgary. It's 90 minutes from Calgary. Okay. Banff is 90 minutes from Calgary. I'm sorry. I misspoke. Nothing slides by this audience. Everything just, they pick everything up. Bam. I'm just a man. I've got Joshua on a web call. Joshua, hi. You there?
Good day, Seth. How are you?
I'm good. Let's talk. What's on your mind?
So 2 years ago, I realized that I'd been bisexual my whole life, and I became atheist shortly after. One thing is I want to recover and learn to heal. I don't want to have any hatred or qualms with my family or friends. Just know that I'm different from them.
Well, I think we all want that, but a lot of it's going to be out of your control. I don't know what the mindset, the belief system, I don't understand the hearts and the perceptions of your inner circle. So are you asking me a question here?
I was wondering how I could recover, how I could get over the fear, because there are still things that make me uncomfortable, and I'm afraid of having my point made when I die. I don't want to be proven right about it.
Well, this is probably a question for somebody from recoveringfromreligion.org. They're good listeners on subjects like these. I myself think we have to give ourselves permission to say that we are who we are and it's okay. So whether you're hetero or homosexual or bisexual or pansexual or whatever, welcome to the wide, wild, diverse animal kingdom, and we are the human animal, and that's just fine, and it's worth celebrating. And you have every right to demand that you be accepted for who you are and not judged. And if someone won't abide by that restriction or that guideline, then you have a right to draw that line in the sand we were talking about earlier. As far as whether or not you're right or wrong, this is emotional baggage that a lot of people carry out of religion. It took me 2 years after I admitted I was an atheist before I finally got over that irrational emotional fear that I was going to go to hell. I knew a hell didn't exist, so why did it keep me up at night? And this is thick stuff. This is heavy baggage. It's a journey, man. So I would say, Joshua, that it starts with conversation and support. And the first place I would go if I were you, you can be anonymous, you can call them, you can chat with them online, you can do it on your terms. Go to recoveringfromreligion.org and have a conversation there. And they will literally lift your arms up and help you navigate some of those more difficult times. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Seth. And one last thing I wanted to just get off my chest is that when I tend to speak to Christians, most of them, it seems that my arguments are not taken seriously, and they kind of use this appeal where, oh, God's there, God's here, look at the trees. And, it's straight up bullshit. You can say that your God's real. You can have your God in your mind and believe it to be a real God. That's what your thought process does. But, oh no, I have a cousin who's sort of pretty pretty smug about it, a family that's kind of allergic to humility. I'm not trying to share my ideas, I'm just trying to tell them, here's what I think. But I appreciate being listened to.
Well,
thank you, and I hope you have a nice rest of the day, man.
All right. Thanks for calling, Joshua. Appreciate you very much. Boy, there's a lot there, isn't there? And you have people in your inner circle who are hardcore. You want to be able to express your values, what you think, what you believe, just as they're doing. But so often it's brick wall territory, or it results in an argument, or you just feel distant and othered. In my life, in so many ways, sometimes I'm struck by the fact that I'm related to people that I don't relate to. Isn't that weird? So I come here. I've got Natalie, and I've got her kids, and I've got my inner circle of friends who share my values, and I have this community. I'm telling you, when I go to Minneapolis, when I go to Calgary, Alberta, when I go to Nashville, when I go to Sarnia, when I go to Wichita, when I go wherever I'm going, and I am in a room full of people who accept me for who I am, it is nourishment. I mean, it just sounds like a Hallmark movie, but I'm telling you. Family, the family that you choose. And we'll have spirited disagreements about stuff, but it's never that. It's never that, oh, I'm so sorry, you just don't understand. I'll pray for you, right? Who wants to be around that? I missed a birthday. I've got a birthday coming up. I missed a birthday lunch last week. I was genuinely busy. I just couldn't get away. But I wasn't grieved that I missed the lunch. Family birthday lunch. For we have a big family, so they always do like 3 or 4 people at a time. So there's so-and-so has a birthday, and so-and-so has a birthday, and so-and-so had an anniversary. So we're all going to get all together, and we're going to have one big meal, and we'll celebrate everybody. And I genuinely could not get there. I could not get away, but I didn't feel a sense of loss. But if I was getting together with this community and something came up and got in the way and I couldn't make it, I would feel grieved. And I think, okay, yeah, that I think is an example of how I've leaned into you to get the family connection that I have craved in my life. I mean, I've got Natalie, and she's my person. And I've got you, and you my people. I don't know, does that sound corny? It feels corny, but it's who I am and it's how I feel. So I love you. Not with the love of the Lord, but I'm genuinely thankful for you. I did see one more super chat, 1 or 2, and I want to make sure I don't miss it. Jammin's back and said, "Fear not, I'll buy everything you narrate." Oh, bless your heart. There's a religious saying. Bless you. Bless your heart. And then Deanna. Hi, Deanna. Thanks for the super chat. What was the age range at your protest? The Hands Off 2025 protest in my hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Mine skewed older, 40 plus. I was wondering where the college students were. I would say we were 40 plus. We did see, honestly, the penguin costume people were in their 20s. I saw some other really clever signs that were made and were being displayed by, I think they were probably in their low 30s. I didn't see teenagers, but I'd say 70% of the people there were 40 plus. And maybe, I don't know, 40, 50 was a pretty good age, but we saw the gamut. There was one lady who was, she was in her 90s, and she was out there in the freaking cold wind, and she was standing with us. And I'll tell you what's funny is when we got there, I didn't know these people. They didn't know me, but we immediately had a sense of kinship, of purpose, right? We were all in the foxhole together. So I just walk up. I don't even know these people. I just walked in. There was a slot in the line, and I stood there and I said, well, I wonder which one of us is going to get pepper sprayed first. And the whole area that I'm in, we all crack up, and then we all high five. And before you know it, we're old friends. It's like we'd known each other half our lives. We were just over. I met a couple of retired school teachers, and I met somebody else who had spent time in the military, and I met somebody else. It's just amazing, this sort of connection. And I think when you have a shared sense of purpose, that kind of connection does happen, and it's pretty remarkable. But the answer to your question, I think the average age, median age, probably 45. If I had to peg it. I got to run. Thank you so much for spending a Monday evening with me. I will see you back here. The podcasts, the audio podcast releases tomorrow. I've got a video with journalist Kate Cohen releasing later this month. And in a few weeks, we're approaching podcast number 800. 800 shots, a lot of time in the studio. 800. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, who I'm going to invite to be a guest, or I don't know what's going to happen. I got to figure this out, but 800's coming up later in April. I'll see you.